Everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. In this one, we're going to be talking about what is the best companion in general and for you. Sometimes it depends on the character you're playing. Sometimes it depends on the game mode. So we're going to look at that all sort of holistically. I like to put these out every month to 2 months, depending on how many companions we've got. In this one, this is going to be after we recently got America Chavez, we got Kate Bishop, and we just got Loki. We're going to add those into the mix, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you want to talk more in depth, feel free to come to the Discord, which is linked in the description below. If you want to help out the channel and hammer down on that like button, always appreciate you. All right, let's check this out.
Bring me WolverThor!
All right, so we're doing the game going there, just kind of playing in case I want to reference something in game and look at a companion. Right now, so the way I've got this set, I don't have any of these ranked. The only special companion that I have not ranked is War Machine. Honestly, just falls down the ranks. Here I've got the overall collection stats when you see these. And then I've got some specials on here that are sort of like honorable mentions that you might be able to equip. Kasim, you only can equip when you do XP gain. Ultron, a lot of people like him for the barrier. Volstagg is actually really good in certain alliance raids where you can't heal. I would recommend equipping him so he'll recover HP. And then some people really like Donna Ports for some increased multipliers. So the bottom of the list that I got here, these four, I don't want you to think, actually I should almost take these rankings away just so that people don't get too confused there. So these aren't necessarily at the bottom of the list. These, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters are more specific for certain tunes or certain situations. Nick Fury is really just good for Laufey in Alliance Raid. That's basically it. You want to have him to help that guard gauge recovery. Nothing more than that. Thor is really only good for shock skills, which tends to be just on Storm. And really, I see that mainly even in PvE. I don't see it too much in PvP. Mordo is like a must-use for Magic and for Doctor Strange and even partially Scarlet Witch. So it is a giant boost for those guys. They get some additional attack, alt, and cooldown. Anybody else who uses them, it just does some damage. So I would recommend using him if you are Doctor Strange, Magic, or Scarlet Witch. If you're trying to get higher attack, ultimate, and cooldown, even if you don't want the ultimate, you still want the attack and cooldown. So it's definitely the best for Magic because that helps all three of those. I wish his collection stat wasn't XP, but for those characters, he's really good. Spider-Man I have down here. I actually think Spider-Man is still really good for Spider-Man because he helps get that debuffs going, slows more, can help get to the cocoon. And then Ghost Rider I've now got in this section because, I was talking to one of my good friends, shout out to Obi Jam, who is crushing the PvP sector at the moment with his Star-Lord. And he plays a Flame Star-Lord, and Flame Star-Lord has lots of burns. And so when you add Ghost Rider on there with a character that can do a lot of burns, he's more likely to, when he hits, he's going to get a stun versus like when I use him as a Widow, I was like, I've only got one ability here. And if I miss it, this is lame. Whereas Star-Lord, it's like, he's just flame, burns, flames. And then so when you throw a Ghost Rider out there, it's going to be good. And I will say I've seen Obi since switching over to Star-Lord really wrecking Dimension Duel, some of the best players in the game. So more on that and probably a different video in the future. So Loki I've got actually ranked as the bottom ranked tune here. I've got to note that Confusion in group PvP, well, first off, before I get to that, he gives you status effect and attack. Okay, status effect accuracy. His skill does some defense down. It's got a Confusion AoE and then a meteor. If it hits you, it burns. Okay, the problem with the Confusion is it's fun, but if you have an ally on ally kill and Confusion in a PvP setting, you don't lose any points. You don't get the person who lays that Confusion should get those points in my opinion, but really it's just a free heal. So while it might be annoying, you can't attack the enemy, if you're in a point battle, it's not really that great. I actually hope that they explore that a little bit and see if they can find a way for confusion to go in a PvP group setting. If they can find a way for, if the players who are confused kill each other, that whoever laid that confusion gets those points. Or half the points or something, I don't know. So anyway, Loki is not really showing up on my radar. Punisher was already pretty low. I've dropped him a little lower as far as these stats go. This is PvP solo, and this is PvP group, and this is PvE. So Punisher was really only useful in PvE, but we've done some additional testing, and it seems like, you know, your America Chavez's, your Icaruses are even better than him. And I was talking to Havson a little bit about that several weeks ago. Then I've got Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight is a must equip as far as of your 4 because of his stat boost. But as far as the main one to use, no, he's the stat boost here, attack, and he's got an AoE that tracks, which is great. But the dot does a blind, and it just doesn't seem to really affect much of anything. I really thought he should have been a little bit better. He's not. Next up at 11, we've got Gilgamesh. And, you know, look, I really like Gilgamesh, and he can be a serious pain in group PvP because he can have an AoE stun. But the key is to know when to lay him down. He's really hard to land in PvP solo, and he's worthless in PvE. So for that reason, I've got him just, you know, coming to the back end. Vision is still, you know, in the back end of this. He's got a crit damage decrease and range damage decrease as far as the stats if you equip him. But I still do like that he gives you kind of a defense up and does some AoE damage. You know, I don't love that it's not going to really rank high in PvP solo or PvE. You know, group, it might be okay. Sometimes in those Alliance Raid PvEs, you might consider him if you're taking a lot of damage, but there's better tunes in my mind that you want to do for that. All right, Yondu. I was actually talking to some folks prior to this. Shout out to Inep. He told me to... No, I'm just kidding. I told him I was just going to joke about that he told me to rank him top, but he definitely didn't. I had Yondu a little bit higher, and we were talking about it quite a bit, and Yondu really has fallen off since the beginning. I think he still has a use in PvP group, but there are definitely characters who are better. In PvP solo, look, he can land, but if you're paying any attention to when he comes out, you're never going to get hit by him, so it's sort of like, whatever. All right, next up is Thena. She is one of the characters that in Alliance Raid, if you don't have a specific companion that you have to equip, she is one of the ones you're going to want to consider. She's definitely really good. PvP group, maybe. You know, solo, absolutely not. No, don't. I have her towards the bottom of that. And let's see. Next up is Cersei. She's very similar. I have her a little bit better in PvP group because I like the defense down that you can put on people. Similar to the I mean, you get an increased attack from Thena, but I like the defense down a little better from Cersei in PvP group. And then in PvE, again, defense down. So, you know, it's kind of flip. I like Thena a little better in PvE. I like Cersei a little better in PvP group. Either way, neither one of these guys are someone you probably should be equipping in PvP, but they are both companions that you want to consider using in PvE or Alliance Raid. And by the way, she's got some additional movement speed and damage range decrease, so stats aren't great, but all right. Thena's stats are still great, and honestly, overall, if you're looking for stats with defense, pierce, and crit damage, those are going to be better than Cersei's. So depending on your situation, you want to think about that as well. All right, so Kate Bishop is one of our new characters or new companions that came out. I don't have her ranked very high. She gives you defense, pierce, and attack. She'll give you what she does when she attacks is she targets a specific person, so it's a solo target. She'll decrease her movement speed and defense down and then focus that target. So PvP solo, I've got her ranked pretty high right now. It's still early on, and I could frankly see this falling, but not a lot of people have her up, but it is nice to be able to drop her and just sort of avoid a person, and she's just still constantly attacking whoever you're using. PvP group, because she's got a solo attack, no. In PvE, because she has a solo attack, it might be okay. So, and it also, because it has the defense down, it's not so bad. I also like that her collection stat is attack. All right, so I've got Wong at number 5. He's actually a great stat stick as well. I really like his cooldown decrease as the collection bonus. If you equip him, he also has a cooldown. These percents don't get hung up too much on. It's just what I have them at right now. They're low. They can go much higher. And he also has stam recovery. So those percentage increases that you can get from having him are fantastic. His ability is not really the greatest. It's more situational. It removes debuffs from, 3 close allies, and you become immune to debuffs. And PvP solo, I have him at 10. It's just like very situational, so I guess you could throw it on there. PvP group, I have them all ranked a little higher, so maybe you could throw stuff down and maybe not get, certain things done to you, provoked, etc., like blinds or burns or whatever. So he might be a little bit better there. And PvE, again, he's very situational. I like to use him in Mephisto a little bit in that raid just to avoid silences. Maybe you want to try him in Laufey as well, just to remove any debuffs. So he comes in at 4. All right, at number 5 rather. At number 4 is Hulk. Hulk is still pretty good. I still have him ranked as number 1 PvP solo and PvP group because while he's got counters, if you don't use those counters, I've gone into PvP groups and there's 4 Hulks and it's still super annoying. So for that reason, I'm like, well, he's still really good. And if you don't have the counter for him, he's top notch. So while he can be countered, he's still towards the top of that meta, in my opinion. He gives you HP and attack. Obviously, he does the taunt and provoke, and he also causes target issues. So he's still up there. At number 3, I've got Icarus. He is he just a PvP damage increase and decrease for stats. So I'd really only would encourage you to equip him if on a PvP setting and if you're not at max. Otherwise, he does do big damage though, but it's for a solo target. So you'll see a lot of people use him in Dimension Duel. You might want to consider him in PvE setting, but again, only if you are trying to do damage. But you might find that you'd get more damage out of other tunes potentially. So he comes in at number 3. Number 2, Daredevil. I still really love him. He hits like a truck. He gives you accuracy and crit damage if you have him equipped. His AoE tracks, it does damage, and you cannot passively dodge. All great things. I like him a lot in PvP solo and PvP group. Because he hits so hard, he's not so bad in PvE. He's probably a little bit high there, honestly. I should probably drop him, frankly, a little bit there. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, even with doing, 4s and 5s here, he's still above the other ones just because of how great he is in the other 2. But I dropped him a little bit in the PvE there. He still hits pretty hard. Actually, I don't think I should have him any lower than Icarus for the moment. But a solid character. And then, so obviously at number 1 is America Chavez. She's a great character. She gives you max damage rate and attack when you equip her. She does a defense down. She decreases the companion duration, which is the main Hulk counter. She does a small AoE. PvP solo, I say she's number 1. In group, I say she's number 2. Really, she could be number 1 with Hulk, but I don't know. I still think just in Omega War, when there's a bunch of Hulks out there, man, and America Chavez doesn't make them all go away. So it's a little bit tough. So maybe you could argue that's 1. Even if I did argue that's 1, it's just making her better. But so it's sort of irrelevant. It's just she's 1, 2. And then in PvE, I actually have her as number 1 as well. That defense down, I think the increased damage for, I think it's like 30% or something like that. Really good. And her collection stat is attack. So I really like her as a character. Talking to Nep a little bit about Alliance raids. America Chavez, Wong is situational, Kate Bishop's decent, Cersei, Athena, decent. Those are the type of characters that you might want to consider using. I tend to agree, with that. Again, you got to think about what you want to use, what else they've got in there. I mean, honestly, besides that, again, you've got some other characters down here, depending on what tune you're on, you might want to consider. But yeah, as far as overall companions in the game, this is how I look at it. So, I mentioned these tunes at the bottom down here for what you might want to use in game or for a specific character. And then overall rankings here on the other side. And I'll do something that's stat specific because that's a whole other situation. These are more about using skills. And yes, the stats do factor in a little bit, but I think more often than not, you're really going to use a character in that summon spot based on what they're doing on the battlefield versus what stats that they're giving you on the back end. So anyway, that's what I got. Appreciate you guys making it this far. If you've got any other suggestions, please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you see a ranking on here that you would do differently, I'd also like to hear that. And please do justify why you're thinking that so that I can kind of think about it constructively and maybe change my rankings for next time. I'd love to hear those type of things. I love chatting about them. Come over to the Discord as well. So if you want to hammer down like buttons, notification bell, subscribe, give you a high five and a kiss. If you don't want that, that's fine. I appreciate you anyway. Until next time, hope you have a wonderful day.